Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the weekend edition of Today in Sports Betting. And man, it is Saturday, and today in sports betting, there is a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of it that we've talked about here in the week. We've got UFC tonight. We've got the Belmont Stakes as we speak, as we record this, are going on. And it seemed like there was something else. And then we got the race tomorrow. We're going to be talking about that right now with my one and only he's running solo with me today. We're supposed to have a guest, but he's going to have to pull the load himself. It's Scott Reichel. Scotty, how are you?
Doing pretty well. Looking forward to the Belmont today. I already know that some of the races already got underway as we just finished race 2 at time of recording. So hopefully some of the plays that we talked about yesterday end up coming through and help us all make a little bit of money. Other than that, though, woke up this morning, kind of mixed feelings, happy about all of the sporting events going on. But I also gave out Brighton and Arsenal drawing at 1-1 at plus 600. It was 1-1, and then Brighton scored in the 95th minute. So, missed out a little bit on a 6-1 payout. Can't win them all, but it means it was supposed to be 93 minutes, ended up scoring in the 95th. You're kind of just yelling at the ref to blow the whistle at that point. But it happens, and unfortunately, we're on the wrong end of a pretty bad beat.
And that's one of the things about soccer that kind of, I think, annoy a lot of American fans, is we are used to our clocks counting down in the 10th of seconds there within the last minute, and everything is just by the book. If you have delay of game, you're over by 1 second or whatever, there's a penalty. In soccer, they put that added time on there, and it's kind of when we blow the whistle. It's I was watching a game yesterday with Man U, and they had 5 minutes of stoppage time, and it ended up being about 5:40 to just giving everybody a shot there. It's a very different way of doing their games than they do here in the States. Do you find that annoying, Scott? I mean, other than just today when it cost you money?
I'm kind of okay with it for the most part. If you take into account how many goals are usually scored in a soccer match, usually the extra minute or so doesn't really matter.
Right.
You only remember the really bad beats that go on in this type of situation. Would be better off if they had a definitive amount of time, probably. But at the end of the day, soccer is so long, you have people faking injuries, and you got a lot of stuff going on that you kind of have to add a couple minutes here and there. And if you believe that one team is threatening or a team is going to be doing something, I'm not opposed to letting one team get another scoring chance in when the odds of them scoring are, less than, 5%. If you want to just go based on the overall match. Does adding 1 minute really change much most of the time? No. So if it adds for some thrilling last-second heroics, I'm not really going to be opposed to it, because soccer, for Americans at least, is going to be pretty boring, because you're going to see the least amount of scoring out of any other sport.
I just picture like the Super Bowl coming down to, third down with 3 seconds left and the incomplete pass, time's off the clock. You're like, you know what? Let's give one more shot.
We'll give him one Hail Mary opportunity. We'll see what happens. But, I guess I feel like it's an acquired taste. That's how I would describe it. But unfortunately, missed out on a 6-1 payout. So not the greatest way to start the morning. But it is what it is, and I look forward to breaking down this NASCAR race.
Yeah, we've got the Talladega with the
Geico 500.
Geico 500. That's right. The Geico 500. We're supposed to be joined by Winning Willie, and as is his tradition, about 1 out of 3 attempts that we get him on the show, he is having internet problems. So I guess the 2 cans and a string internet down there in Mississippi isn't doing very well. I try not to make fun of the South, but sometimes they just make it too easy,
It happens, man. All I know is that my Wi-Fi worked and your Wi-Fi worked.
My Wi-Fi works as well. We were talking about that. You could even do it with just your wireless signal and your phone, but apparently that's not an option either. So anyway, we got his picks, and we'll talk a little bit about how we did last week. Sum it up, Scott. How we do last week? Not good.
Not good, but I had the one bailout prop that I didn't want to win that ended up winning.
That's right. You had the Joe Gibbs plus 165. We each won one of our props. None of our drivers that we had won the race. And that's the first time that's happened. At least one of us hasn't picked the winner. So we lick our wounds. We go on. I picked up a little bit in the NASCAR, in the Winners and Winers Cup standings. I picked up 5 points on Willie. I picked up 6 points on you. But still, Willie has a pretty substantial lead over both of us. And you've still got about a 20-point lead over me. So I need to drill down and make up some ground starting, well, about this race. So let's take a look here, my friend. 500 laps at the not 500 laps, rather 500 miles on the 2.5-mile track there in Alabama at Talladega. Scott, you ever been to a super speedway? You been to Daytona or Talladega or anything like that?
Not unfortunately.
The just the size of them it's immense. It's same thing at Indy. The Indianapolis 500 course has a 9-hole golf course in the infield, as well as a lot of parking and everything like that. It's just the size of the 2.5 miles around there is really something to see. And this is going to be the first restrictor plate race of the season. So yeah, should be a lot of fun. And we've got some interesting picks here, because the thing about these super speedway races is really just about anything can happen as long as you keep yourself on the lead lap
and don't get into the huge wreck.
Don't get into the big one. You've got a shot, and there's nothing that says that more than the fact that some of the drivers here that have had the most success, for example, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He has the second highest, the second best average of finish. He's made 13 starts at Talladega. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has finished in the top 10 8 times. So that's, I would dare say, without doing a little more research, I would dare say that's probably his best track. That's not generally something that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Is known for, his top 10 finishes.
Oh, I thought you meant him finishing races. Oh, okay.
He's a checker, a wrecker right there, my friend. And no better place for that to happen. It's weird. Some of the younger drivers tend to do pretty well here at Talladega, and we could definitely have something shaking it up here this weekend. So,
well, that's going to tie into who my long shot is this week, but I'm assuming yours might be the same. I don't know about that. I have an idea on who you might be going with as a sleeper, but I know mine is a youngster. So we'll get into that in a bit.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's kick it off, buddy. I know we've got Winning Willie's picks. You want to wait till the end for those? You want to get those out of the way at the beginning? What do you want to do, buddy?
We can give them out now if you want. So he has 3 picks, like the two of us. He likes Ryan Blaney. He's a fan of Kevin Harvick, and he also likes Austin Dillon. I believe Blaney and Harvick are both at 11-1, and I'm pretty sure Dillon is roughly 40-1, give or take.
All right, I've got Harvick at 11. I got Blaney at 11, correct, and I've got Austin Dillon at 40. Yeah, those all check out for me. So I'll put him down there at 11-1 for Blaney, 11-1 for Harvick, and 40-1 for Dillon. Scott, does that step on any of your toes?
A little bit. I only have 1 out of the 3. It was my second favorite for the race, but I'm gonna be taking it anyway, or not favorite, but my second non-long shot. I'm gonna be sharing Ryan Blaney with Willie in this one. First of all, both of us were on the same page a couple weeks ago, and we both said we're not the biggest Ryan Blaney guy. However, apparently Ryan Blaney hurt us, and he's been phenomenal ever since. If you looked at his recent results, but Ryan Blaney at 11-1 here for half a unit. He's starting 12th. Not that bad of a starting spot. I think you can agree that Talladega is one of those tracks where starting spot might not mean as much as it does in other tracks, because you have so many accidents and you have so many issues that if you just stay relatively clean, you keep your car clean, most of the time you'll end up finishing the top 10 anyway, and you might be even battling for the lead. So the starting spot 12th, not awful, not bad though, so I'm fine with that. Fun fact, he actually won the last NASCAR race at Talladega, so Blaney has had a lot of success here in the past. And Blaney has also finished in the top 4 in 5 of his last 6 races. So he's been absolutely cooking lately. So I'm going to ride the hot hand, and I'm going to take the guy who has actually won a race here, particularly the last one. So for that reason, I think Bolini has some value at 11-1. I know you're not as high on Bolini. I know that we both were, and we thought it was kind of a fluke. But you finished top 4 and 5 of your last 6. I got to assume that at some point he kind of just figured it out, and I'm going to have to back him for that reason.
Okay. All right. Very good. The thing that's troubling for me about Blaney is, he's just one time in his last 4 races has he finished in the top 10. Of course, that was a victory, but I don't.
Well, you mean at Talladega?
What did I say?
No, you just said the last 4 races. You mean at Talladega?
Oh, the last 4 races at Talladega. Correct. No, he has been on a hot streak lately, but those tracks bear no resemblance at all to Talladega. Bristol is Bristol, Martinsville, about as far away from Talladega as you can get. I don't hate that pick. He's got, like I said, he's got a victory here. I don't necessarily love the consistency.
The thing is that I was looking through a lot of these top options here. I feel like a lot of them, if not all of them, are kind of risky in a way at Talladega. There wasn't one guy who jumped off the page for me where I just said, wow, I got to take this guy. There was one, which I didn't mention yet, and I'm going to mention him next. But for the most part, I like Blaney's consistency lately, and it's just a matter of him actually showing some ability to win races on this track in the past. But for the most part, I didn't really find many great options towards the short list of, favorites, so to speak, for this race, where I'm looking at him and saying, oh, this guy's clearly going to finish top 5. I just didn't see it.
It is a real crapshoot, and it's evidenced by the odds as the shortest price on the board is 9-1. So it is the wide open nature of this race has definitely been reflected by the odds makers, and I think they bet them accordingly. Nobody's been bet down. There's no prohibitive favorites or anything like that. So you guys both like Blaney at 11-1.
I don't share any other of the two with Willie. So.
Okay. All right. What else you got? Who else you dig?
Oh, you're not going to give out your first pick?
Can we do that? Okay, let's do it that way then. I'll go ahead and give out my first pick, and that's going to be Joey Logano. Nobody's been better lately at this track than Joey Logano. In his last 4 starts, he has finished in the top 5 one time. 3 times, and that includes 1 victory. He is he's driving well right now. I think Joey Logano is due. He's had some bad breaks. He's been right up there in the mix, including being jobbed by Chase Elliott a couple of weeks back. I had
Logano to win that race. I remember that.
What's that?
I had Logano to win that race. I remember.
Yeah,
that.
and I think he was well on his way to doing that if he could have just cleared Chase Elliott, and Chase Elliott, of course, couldn't get the lower groove to stick there. Rode up the track, and the rest is 4th place history for Scott. But it was I think he's due. I think that was the one that got away from him. He does a great job of staying out of trouble on this track, and that's really what all this track is mostly about, is just making sure you're in the right place at the right time and staying out of the big one, staying out of trouble. Of course, a lot of that is luck. Sometimes you just get caught up in it, and there's nothing you can do. But I like Logano at 10-1 to take home the checker in the Geico 500. Thoughts on that one, Scott?
He was one of the guys who I was close to pulling the trigger on, but decided not to in the end. Something just about Logano, I feel like recently, excluding last week, because last week he was terrible, but in general, I feel like Logano is always towards the top 5 with maybe about 150 to go. And then I feel like his car or something, he just loses a step or 2 later in races. I've noticed that ever since the Elliott wreck with like 4 laps to go or 3 laps. I don't even remember how many laps there were. Very, very small amount. But I don't know. I feel like Logano is very good at winning stages. But when it comes to actually making up ground in the final stage, he always seems to lose a couple of places. Is that just me, or have you noticed that as well?
No, he definitely has had some problems finishing races here lately. Some of it's been his fault, some of it hasn't been his fault, like we talked about. So, some of that it's just racing luck. I don't think there's anything specific they can point to what they're doing wrong as a team, or they're doing wrong with their car that's leading to those results. This is a tough race. This is, and we're not going to crush it like we did last week.
No, hopefully not. That's how I'll phrase that one. But Logano has been very solid, with the exception of last week. But I'm gonna call that an anomaly, because for the most part he's had a very good car, and he has been I'm trying to get the right way to describe Logano. I would say a safe driver. He's not the kind of guy who I think is going to make some massive move late in the race that'll either jeopardize the entire race or win it. But he's the kind of guy who will not crash in a very crash-heavy race. That's how I would describe Logano. Which is, it's good enough. I just think he's a little bit safe, and I'm afraid of him having the actual, I don't want to say guts because that sounds mean, but I just don't think Logano's the kind of guy who will make a last-second maneuver that maybe a Chase Elliott or a Brad Keselowski will make late in the race. I just don't think Logano's that guy.
All right. Fair enough. All right. So who do you have as your second pick?
So my second pick is actually one guy that we've talked about indirectly, and it's going to be Chase Elliott, and I'm going to be taking him at 10-1 on DraftKings for half a unit. He's starting 11th, which is pretty good starting position. Once again, I said before, I don't really think starting position means that much in this race. Of course, it's better to start out towards the front as opposed to starting out like 35th. But I think 11th is a good enough starting spot for him to finish towards the top end of the, towards the top 3 at the end. But he's finished top 8 in 3 of his last 4 Talladega races. He won this race back in 2019 while also starting 11th. So he does know how to win despite not starting in the top 10. And overall, Elliott, he's had a couple of down weeks in a row after being on fire for about a month or so. And I think Talladega is a pretty good track for him. He's already won it, I already said before. And, he's finished top 8 in 3 of his last 4 Talladega races. Now, I know top 8 is a little bit different than winning the race, but in such a toss-up type of race based on the odds, I have to assume Elliott's going to be one of the more aggressive drivers out there from the get-go, which could be a little bit dangerous for Talladega, but assuming he doesn't crash, I expect him to definitely be towards the front with, I'd say, about 70 laps to go, give or take. I expect him to finish somewhere in the top 3. And for that reason, I'm going to take him to win the race at 10-1 on DraftKings.
Talladega is one of those tracks where if you're running in the top 8 towards the end of the race, you have a great shot to win. It's not like being 8th place at Bristol. Talladega 8th place can overtake the leaders in less than a lap.
And Elliott is also being one of those guys who, even though if it's not recommended, he's one of those guys who will basically threaten to crash his car for the sake of making a move late. And even though it's a dangerous, go big or go home scenario, I kind of respect it. And I think that Elliott, if he ends up in 3rd with maybe a lap to go, I know that he's going to try to at least make some massive move on the inside or something, because it seems like he's just wired in the Ricky Bobby mindset, which is if you ain't first or last. And I feel like Chase Elliott takes that to heart.
He'll definitely stick that nose in there. Scott, this could be a quick show because Chase Elliott was also my second pick as well. I had him at 9-1. I'll take that 10-1 over there on DraftKings for all the reasons you just said. He's been a consistent driver at Talladega. He's got the cojones, if you will, to go for the win and not just settle for a top 5 finish. I like this kid a lot. I like him as a driver, and I really like him at Talladega. I think you and I are on the same page there, which is, maybe just a little scary, but at least Willie didn't take him. So we've got a little bit of hope there. This would be a good chance for us to both maybe make up a little ground on winning Willie. So, Scott, with that being said, it now comes time that everybody waits for each week. It is our long shot of the week, and I'm anxious to get your pick after you teased it a little bit there with thinking we might match up. Let's see if we do. Scott, who you got?
Well, I said we might hypothetically match up conceptually by taking younger guys. I know for a fact you're not going to take the same driver as me, but okay. It's upsetting, though, that my top 10 long shot streak is broken after Clint Boyer. The nerve of that guy came in 11th. And, the streak is over. Every single race we've been talking about, I don't remember how many races we've already gone through. Was it like 8 or 9 or so?
I can't. I don't. Maybe I was thinking closer to 5, but
Could be. Either or. I've given every long shot that I've given out is finished in the top 10, and now Boyer came in 11th. But the one I'm going to shock you is with a racer who we've haven't had many kind words about pretty much ever. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. It's going to be on Eric Almirola.
oh,
And I like him at 26-1. Simply put, he's starting 15th, which is a decent starting spot. Once again, Talladega starting spot doesn't mean as much as it does in other tracks. He's finished top 9 in each of his last 7 Talladega races. And he also has 4 top 10 finishes in 12 starts this season. We were shocked that Almirola was in the 12th position for the chase before getting passed by Jimmy Johnson roughly a week ago. He has 4 top 10 finishes, and if you consistently finish in the top 9 at your last 7 Talladega races, I have to just assume based on value, 26-1 seems a bit high. Do I think Almirola is going to win the race? Probably not. But as you said once again, if you're in the top 8 late in Talladega, you have a decent shot at winning. And Almirola has been really good at being in the top 10. And the only thing I pretty much have to fade is his normal car troubles with roughly 50 laps to go. So do I love the pick? No. But I really can't trust Stenhouse Jr., and he was pretty much the only other long shot I could think of besides maybe a Ryan Newman. But other than that, though, I actually like Almirola on this track. So for that reason, I'll take him at 26-1.
all right. Very good, Scott. You're right. We did not match up on this one. I'm going to go with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. That's my long shot. You're right. There wasn't a lot of great long shot options. By the way, for those of you that are new to the show or don't remember, we define our long shots as anything 15-1 or better. So that pretty much blanked out the top 9 racers there.
Basically, yeah. You didn't have one huge favorite in this race, but you had a lot of guys who were roughly in the 13-1, 12-1 range, give or take.
Right.
So that eliminated a lot of the front runners, so to speak.
Yeah, all your favorites were pretty much between 9 and 11.
Mm.
That was the shortest odds that anybody was 9-1, and that's I had it on Chase Elliott. Of course, you had Chase Elliott at 10-1. So, some of the options here would have been some of the veteran drivers that we've gone with in the past: Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer.
Newman's results here shocked me, just based on how consistent he's been in the past. Newman's actually really good here, and that's
right.
It's different though, and I'm gonna get into this on the props because I got a really funny matchup prop, which you might just be frustrated on behalf of both drivers that are going to be in the actual match, one of the matchups I'm taking. But I don't know if Newman's the same guy or if his equipment might be letting him down or so. But historically speaking, he's been very good here. So I thought maybe you might pull one of the veteran long shots, but I'm not surprised they're going with Stenhouse Jr. He's been great.
No, and I don't like the equipment that Newman's running. I think that 6 cars lost a step, and actually, I haven't really loved Newman since the crash.
That's fair. I'm just saying he's had some like top, I want to say 14 results, which of course aren't the same as winning. And I understand that's why I didn't pull the trigger on Newman either. It was one of those just looking for good results from some drivers. A lot of the front runners didn't have great results in the past. Newman did, but he's also in a very, very different situation than the one where he was thriving several years ago. So
right, and another driver that's in that same boat is Matt Kenseth, a real solid past champion that's getting a great price at 50-1. But he is definitely driving inferior equipment compared with the rest of these guys. And man, teams make a difference at this race because everything has to be perfect as far as the aero package goes and the engine goes. And that just screams high dollar testing and high dollar engine programs, like they have at the big 4 or 5 there, your Gibbs, Childress, et cetera, et cetera. So I really don't like the smaller teams here at this race as far as Talladega goes. So
I agree with you there. It was just a matter of just bringing it up. But if you want to, you can mention some details about Stenhouse and how good he's been here. I know we touched upon it briefly, but what's the number you also got on Stenhouse there?
I've got Stenhouse at I've got him at 20. Yeah, a little better than that.
Let me look here. I already see 22, so that's sign there. But Let me see if I could find anything else there. But anyway, you can keep talking about Stenhouse, and I'll just let you know if I find the lines.
Yeah, he's one of those surprising guys. You know, after I just talked about the importance
Of not crashing, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Somehow, this is the one track he does not really crash on, which is pretty interesting.
it's his best track, and it's the place where he finishes the best, and he doesn't have he's got 13 races here at Talladega. He's got a win at Talladega. He's got 5 top 5s. He's a guy that's he's, believe it or not, is usually right there at the end of the race. He's a guy that, for whatever reason, it's totally out of character for him, but he does manage to stay out of trouble, manages to avoid the big one. Not a great starting position here, starting at 20th. Just needs to stay out of trouble early as he works his way to the front. And again, as a guy, we're taking him as a long shot. Probably not going to win, but when you cash one of these tickets, you don't have to cash very many of these long shots for it to pay off and have a profitable season. So
the best one I found was 22 to 1.
All right, I'll take Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at 22 to 1 to win the Geico 500.
That's the same logic I had with Almirola, just based on the fact that it seems like it's one of their best tracks, if not their best respective track. And they have a lot of boom or bust potential, both of them respectively, but they have been consistently involved in the top 10. So for me, but it wouldn't surprise me if either or both of them crashed. But Almirola seems to, I'd say, I can't even just compare him to Stenhouse. They've both just been so boom or bust this season, but Almirola has been a little bit more consistent. So that's kind of the main reason why I ended up taking him instead.
Yeah, both of those guys have 2 DNFs. Stenhouse has 2 DNFs in his 13 starts. Almirola has 2 DNFs in his 20 starts. So they
he's got 4 top 10s though, so he's been
right.
a little bit more consistent, but they've both been a little bit lackluster.
Very, very true. Another guy that just has trouble finishing this race, surprisingly, is Jimmie Johnson. With almost a third of the times that he starts this race, he does not finish. So keep an eye on Jimmie Johnson if you're going to think about betting any props, any kind of in-game stuff with Jimmie Johnson. Keep in mind that this is certainly not one of his better tracks. As his average finishing position is just 17.81. Of course, that's going to happen when you have a lot of DNFs. So, but he does have just 2 wins here in his 36 starts and only 7 top 5. So this super speedway and Jimmie Johnson are not pals.
Yeah, definitely. And just one question to talk about Willie's picks really quickly. Okay. You have any thoughts on Harvick or on long shot Austin Dillon?
So
I looked into Harvick, and I wasn't really impressed with his recent results here, but I know that Harvick is still one of the most talented drivers on the entire circuit. So I don't think taking him in any race is ever a bad move. I just have not really been a fan of his results lately at Talladega, which kind of scared me off.
1 win in 38 starts, 4 DNFs, average finishing position 16.11. Less than half the time he started this race, he's finished in the top 10. I would love to have Willie on here and pick his brain about this pick. I don't like it at all. I honestly don't dig that pick.
That's why he's in first place and we're not. So
I know.
He comes out and wins.
You got to think outside the box. And here you and I are like taking the same guys, and I get it.
Well, I have Bolini as well with Willie, so I guess we saw something eye to eye. He might just be into the Fords for this race, but
I don't see Austin Dillon at all. That's another one. Austin Dillon's made 13 starts. He has failed to finish this race 5 times. That's not good at all. I'm not going to back anybody that crashes more than a third of the times that they start the race. That's, for me, that's not a formula for success. Of course, having said that, I'm taking the ultimate checker record guy in Ricky Stenhouse Jr. So I can't throw too many rocks out of my glass house when it comes to Austin Dillon. What do you think? You see something there in Austin Dillon and I'm not seeing?
The only thing I would be seeing hypothetically in Dillon is him getting some type of emotional victory because I don't know if he just had a kid or he's about to have a kid. So maybe you can go for some type of emotional angle there. But for the most part, not really. It's just a matter of I looked into Dylan potentially for a matchup, and then I looked at his stats, and yeah, needless to say, I didn't pull the trigger on that one. So
Okay.
I had mixed feelings about Dylan. Do I think Dylan's a bad driver? No. Once again, we talked about how he came with a bunch of hype, and he hasn't really lived up to any of it. But I don't think he's a bad driver. I think he has the ability to potentially make a run here. But as you know, I'm kind of a creature of habit, and I like to see drivers who have had success at a given track before I just immediately pencil him down as one of my picks.
All right. Yeah. Fair enough. And well, let's take a look at a little prop action there, Scott. What do you got worked up for props this week?
Okay, so the first prop I'm going to give out, once again, I'm going back to the well at the car manufacturers. I haven't given this prop out for a couple of weeks, and I'm going back to it. It's going to be Chase Elliott, top Chevy at plus 350 on DraftKings. Simply put, 350 is too high. I know that Talladega is one of those races where the guy you take in will really good and then crash at any point. But in comparison to the other Chevys, I just think he's clearly above and beyond the best one there. I mean, Kurt Busch has been pretty good here historically, but I mean, Busch always seems to be a fringe top 10 guy. Stenhouse Jr. is the huge wild card at plus 750. He's been really good here, but it wouldn't surprise you if he wrecks at some point and finishes in the 30s. Bowman, I think, is a potential sleeper here, but at plus 900, not interested in Jimmy Johnson's been pretty underwhelming here. Elliott at plus 350. We both talked about how we think he's going to probably finish in the top 5, top 3, maybe even have a shot to win the race. So for that reason, it wouldn't surprise me to see Stenhouse coming maybe 9th or so. I think Elliott should finish top 3. So for that reason, I'm going to take Elliott to be top Chevy at plus 350 on DraftKings.
Scott is going all in on Chase Elliott. That's
well, you know, it hasn't worked out the last couple of weeks when I've been doubling down on drivers. But Elliott here, I just think he's the class of all Chevys. And I think you'll agree with me because Elliott has the lowest odds to actually win the race of any racer. So you're basically taking the favorite, eliminating about 90% of the quality field, and you got him versus Kurt Busch and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and he's still plus 350. So I'm going to take that.
yeah, not a terrible way to approach that at all. My first prop is going to be a matchup prop, and I'm going to myself go in once again on Joey Logano as I've got him to top Brad Keselowski. Paying a little price on this at minus 130. I don't love that, but this is a track that has not been
hasn't been good for Keselowski.
Hasn't been good for Keselowski. That's exactly right. He has struggled here time and time again. His average finish is 16th, and the thing about it is he's a guy that has early in his career he won some races here. He's won 5 times at Talladega, so he is a guy that knows how to win. But lately he has been. He's been no bueno over his last 4 starts at Talladega. No top 10s, no top 5s, no victories, just once in the top 20. And over that 4-race stretch, he has got an average finish of 24.5. That, my friend, is not good at all. Puts him right between David Reagan and Darrell Wallace Jr. That is not the company you want to keep when it comes to a NASCAR race. I will take Joey Logano over the Blue Deuce of Brad Keselowski.
Well, that's going to take me into my second prop here. It's actually going to take me to my second and third props here. I'm going to stick to the car manufacturers, and I'm going to double down on some Fords here. Or not double down, but I'm going to double dip. I'm going to double down on Ryan Blaney, though, to be top Ford. He's plus 550, which I just think is way too high for an 11-1 racer. I'm getting him at 5.5-1 to be the top Ford. And he's finished, as I said before, in the top 4 in 5 of his last 6 races. So I feel like I have to take that at 5.5-1. And to hedge that a little bit, I'm going to be fading Keselowski a little bit. And I'm also going to be taking Joey Logano to be top Ford at plus 450. Just because of the fact that I feel like Keselowski struggled here in the past. Harvick struggled here in the past. And I simply think that Blaney and Logano should be the top 2 Fords that are going to be fighting it out for that top spot late. Logano doesn't crash here historically, and Blaney has had some mixed results in the past, but he did win this race last year. So for that reason, I have to assume they're going to be fighting it out in the top 10 at some point late in this race. And I think that Keselowski and Harvick will be a little bit behind. So I'm not going to put a full unit on those two because I do think it's a little bit riskier at Talladega. but I do like a half a unit on Bolini to be top 4 to plus 550 on DraftKings, and half a unit on Logano to be top 4 to plus 450 on DraftKings.
All right, all right.
Do you have any thoughts on that for Logano? Because I know that you're high on Logano in this race.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good play. That's still plenty of meat on the bone to double dip there. If you just get one of those guys to come in, even dropping the other one still leaves you a nice profit margin. I don't hate that play at all. That's just fine. Blaney, especially there at 550. Blaney comes in, you're gonna do all right, buddy.
Hopefully. Then again, if he doesn't come in and the front of his car vanishes like it did 2 months ago, then I'm not going to be doing too well.
That'll be not good. That'll be not good at all. My second prop here is going to be, the aforementioned Erik Jones over Ryan Newman. We've talked about how Newman just isn't really back in the groove yet. I worry about Newman back on the super speedway for the first time since his horrific wreck there at Daytona. Erik Jones has had a fair amount of success at this track, and I like him. I like him in the battle of the second tier drivers there. I'll take Erik Jones over Ryan Newman at minus 110.
Okay, well, that's actually going to take me into another prop that I have. This is going to be my first matchup prop mentioning here. It's a close your eyes and hope kind of prop, which is it's an entertaining one because I'm taking Ryan Newman to beat Matt Kenseth at minus 120, and I'm taking that on DraftKings. Both drivers not good over the course of this season. However, Newman's looked significantly better than Kenseth in recent races. I know that Newman didn't look great last race. Kenseth, once again, we talked about if he finishes top 20, I consider that a huge moral victory. Break out the champagne. Because Kenseth usually finishes between 20 and 30 at this rate. And I really think that Newman, even though it's going to be his first this is his first trip to a speedway since the wreck, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a little bit concerning, but I really I don't know. I think he's going to finish top 20, and I can't say the same about Kenseth. It's a risky play because both drivers have been very, very underwhelming. But if you look at the recent results, Newman has been a lot better than Kenseth lately. And I think that Newman, even if both drivers don't have the same level of equipment and they're not the same as they used to be, I think Newman's in a little bit of a better situation, especially for a minus 120 price. So for that reason, I'll take Newman to win that matchup at minus 120 on DraftKings.
Okay. Yeah.
You have any thoughts on how unpredictable that matchup is and how it's basically, burning your money? You have any thoughts on that?
You kind of lobbing me softballs there, buddy.
A little bit. I know where you're going. It's just a matter of I think Kenseth's been worse than Newman, so I'm going to take Newman here.
I agree. I think Kenseth has been worse than Newman, and Kenseth is driving. How quickly they forget Kyle Larson's car.
Yeah.
And Kyle Larson had some success with that car, so I've been pretty quick to jump on the Kenseth doesn't have good equipment, but I think a lot of that is Kenseth. Now that car traditionally is not a great car. It's not a top-notch team. But I think we may be seeing the fact that that Kenseth is definitely a step behind Kyle Larson is this point in his career. I think we may need to face the facts that Kenseth is just not a good race car.
I think there's a reason why Kenseth retired before getting out of retirement.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's these guys at the end of their career. Obviously, they're not going to be. And it's such a man. It is such a fine line. The reaction times and everything that's needed. It's hard to just you lose a step and it's over. You're not going to be competitive. And Newman is kind of in the same boat. But
he's shown some flashes to finish top 15, so he hasn't been as bad as Kenseth. So that's kind of the main reason why. It's a war of attrition, and I just think that Kenseth is worse. Yeah,
I agree. And sometimes you've got to go down to those second and third tier matchups to make a little money.
But so do you actually like the Newman over Kenseth one?
I do. I think that's a good play. I think minus 120 is a good price on that. I'm going to do one, and I just added this just for grins. I'm going to go Stenhouse over Almirola.
That's fun. That's a fun one. All right, you might win or lose that by about lap 10. So we're going to see how that works out.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I got to pay a little. I got to pay a little juice, but that's the price. That's the price to pay to have a bet here. Minus 130 on that one. I'm. I don't normally double down on my long shots, and it certainly could come back to bite me in the butt as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. goes into the safer barricade about lap 8, like you said. But just to give you and I something to text about tomorrow, I'm going to take Stenhouse over Almirola. What else you got?
So this one is going to be, I'm going to be doubling down on my long shot, like you just did against my long shot. But
Nice.
I found one prop that I definitely like. It's going to be Almirola to beat Di Benedetto at minus 120. Yeah, Di Benedetto, simply put, really bad here. That's how I'm just going to put that. Di Benedetto's best finish here is 18th, and each of his last 3 races here, he's finished 30 or worse. So he's been really bad here. I talked about how Almirola's had a top 10 streak at Talladega in the past. Is it possible that he might blow a battery? Yes. Is it possible that Di Benedetto might crash again at this track? Yes. So for that reason, minus 120, you're giving me a guy who's consistently finished in the top 10 as opposed to a guy who has never finished better than 18th here. He's had an accident in each of the last 2 races here at Talladega, Di Benedetto talking about. So for that reason, yeah, not exactly sold on him moving forward. So for me, I just don't think he's good at this track, and I think Almirola is a lot better at this track. So minus 120. I know that it's a risky proposition taking multiple props on Almirola, but I just think there's such a mismatch at this track that minus 120 should really be like minus 140.
I agree. Di Benedetto really stands out at not being good here, and I looked for a matchup to fade him in, and the only one I could find him was Austin Dillon. So
I found Almirola, so that's I guess an upgrade over Dillon, but still not great. But
you know what?
minus 120 seems like a good price.
I'm going to put my faith in Willie. I'm going to say the guy that's leading the pack here. I'm going to say he knows a little something about something. I'm going to go ahead and here on the fly, live on the show.
This has never happened before.
Never happened before. I'm going to take Austin Dillon over Matt Di Benedetto because he is absolutely dreadful at this track. And I'm going to take him and lay, I think I have to lay minus 130.
You have to lay a bigger price on Dillon over Di Benedetto than Almirola over
125. 125.
That still surprises me.
Yes,
because Almirola's had a lot better results than Dillon has had at this track.
I agree.
But unless the logic is they think Almirola is more likely to crash, which is also true. So maybe that plays a factor. They think Dillon, as long as he finishes the race, should probably finish ahead. But yeah, I mean, I don't really like doubling down, especially on these wild card long shots, but there's no way I can't take Almirola there at minus 120. That's just too attractive.
Don't try this at home, kids. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it.
Leave it to the trained professionals or something like that, right?
All right, my friend. What else? You got anything else going there?
Yes, I actually got one more prop I'm going to give out. This one is more of just for value, but one driver has had pretty decent success here in the past has been Denny Hamlin. Yeah, I know he won the race last week, but he actually has been pretty consistent here in the past. And the reason why I bring that up is that I actually like Denny Hamlin to win stage 1, which is available at plus 900 on DraftKings. Simply put, what you've noticed a lot in NASCAR is that the people who start at the front, naturally, because you have less laps to actually make up ground, the racers who usually start towards the front tend to win the first stage before all hell breaks loose in the second and third stage, the second final stage. So for that reason, Truex Jr. has been terrible here. There's a reason why his odds are so high. He has the pole. I expect him to finish somewhere in the 20s. He's really just been bad here historically. Hamlin is starting second, and if you look at Hamlin's results here in the past, he's been good. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, I know he has one 36th finish in one of the races last year, but if you actually break down his recent results, he has finished in the top 6 in 4 of his last 7 Talladega races. And for that reason, I simply just think him starting second, he's surrounded by Kyle Busch, who has not been great here, Jimmy Johnson, who has not been great here. Harvick, who has not been great here, Keselowski hasn't been great here, and Truex, who has the pole, who hasn't been great here either. I just think Hamlin should find his way to the front early in this race, and I think he should have enough to hold on for a potential stage 1 victory, especially a plus 900. I think that line's a little bit too high.
Okay. All right. Very good.
You have any thoughts on that?
I think that's solid. I think as much as the race is a crapshoot, I think stage winners are probably even more of a crapshoot. But
it's all about who is around. I mean, you think of like who is going to finish first at the stages, and you go through all the lists of drivers. I'm just looking through results though. Truex has been awful. He starts first. Hamlin second. I already talked about. Kyle Busch not great here. Third. Johnson fourth, not great. Harvick fifth, not great. Keselowski sixth, not great. It's just not that good. There's not many great drivers based on the results who surround Hamlin early on. And even though I don't think Hamlin will win the race in the end, I think it's going to take a while before you have some of the guys like Chase Elliott and all these other guys who are starting in the teens to suddenly just find their way in the top 3. I think that's more of a stage 2, stage 3 move.
Yeah, and he's got a solid pit crew over there with the 11 car, the FedEx car. And that makes a difference because you're going to have the competition caution that's going to come out before the end of the first stage. It's important for him to maintain position because, man, you don't get to make up much ground there as far as if you lose 10 seconds in the pits, especially under green flag at Talladega, which the competition caution will not be. But the point is, it comes down to a lot of pit crew here, especially winning stage 1. And I think you've got a good crew there with Ryan Newman. So, yeah.
You mean with Denny? You mean with Denny?
I mean Hamlin. Sorry. Yeah.
So Hamlin. Plus 900 to me, I feel like that should be closer to. I can even make the argument like plus 650, plus 700, just because of the drivers around him. So I'm just going to take it at 900 and enjoy.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Well, guys, we got a.
That's all I have. Do you have any other props?
No, that's it. I'm done. I do miss having Willie here to butcher Matt DiBenedetto. Your pronunciation has improved mightily, sir. Very, very well done. And so
that was all purely based on reading, but thank you.
I do miss having Willie around. Something we wanted to talk about here before we go, Scott. I don't know if you heard the news that broke late last night, reported via The Athletic about the 2 people in the Tony Stewart garage that have tested positive for the COVID. Have you heard about that? And if you have any thoughts?
I actually did hear about that. I think the upsetting part is that I'm not surprised. I think that's more of the news itself. It seems like COVID has had a complete second wave on, well, I'd say a lot of people in the sports world. You've seen reports about college athletes who Clemson had 20-something cases. Houston had a couple of cases. The state of Florida set the all-time record for most cases in a single day with about, 4,800, I think, give or take. So, not exactly looking too promising. I know you had cases in the NHL lately. You had cases in the NBA. You had the Cowboys and the Texans earlier this past week. It seems like everyone kind of in the sports world just wanted to think that COVID was a complete hoax. And then a lot of people got sick again. Shocker. They stopped following guidelines and they got sick. I really just did not see that coming. As a whole, though, with the Stewart thing, I hope that the actual people who ended up getting sick make a full recovery. But in terms of the shock and all of this news, pretty far and few in between. I'm just not that surprised that it happened. Are you that surprised? Because I'm not.
No, I think it was absolutely going to happen, just from a sheer number standpoint. A couple of things to keep in mind. It was not people that have been part of the travel group that goes to the racetrack. They got these people isolated. So, a lot of the doomsday people were saying, the sky is falling. They're going to cancel all the races. I don't see that happening. I just don't. I don't even think that's going to happen if a driver or a crew member there at the track were to come down with COVID. I think they're doing a good job with social distancing and I think they're doing a good job of wearing masks. And yeah, we'll just have to see it. And you just got to extrapolate a little bit more about the Florida numbers, because I know when you talk about raw numbers, people always say, well, you're testing more, so you're going to have more cases. However,
4,800
in Florida, The percentage of people that have been tested that have the virus has gone up from roughly 3% to about 17%. So it has been just absolutely brutal there in the Sunshine State from a number standpoint and from a percentage standpoint as well.
Now, the thing is that a lot of it's based on location because of the fact that, for example, New York got a lot of flack for not really opening anything up, and I think that it's pretty much been proven that was probably a smart move. The question you have is that Florida opened up prematurely, and they pretty much got screwed over out of it. Question is, are you going to see something similar in Vegas maybe in a couple weeks? And for that, I don't know, but
numbers are up in Vegas.
What?
Numbers are up in Vegas right now.
Right now, but I'm saying, I don't know. They're not going to reach Florida level because Florida's been open for basically about a month. At least it feels that way.
Right.
But at this rate, yeah. If you're living in Florida, you got some tough days ahead of you. That's all I'm going to say.
And it is a situation where it's mainly from the Orlando corridor, Tampa corridor south.
Isn't that the issue though? Because it seems like every single sports league has tried to move to that area.
Yeah, I don't understand the whole desire to move to Florida. I mean, I guess because they kept
it was originally because the stadiums were open and because everything was deemed,
right. They kept everything open.
Essential. But in reality, if your whole point of continuing a season in the middle of an outbreak is to find a place that's allowing sports in a place where it's not a hotbed for COVID, and you're deciding to go to a place that set the record for most cases in a single day, I feel like there's a little bit of irony there.
Well, and you don't have any great places as far as the numbers go. You've got Florida, which we've talked about.
NHL already announced a hub area in Vegas, which also isn't great.
Right, the Vegas and there's been a spike since reopening the casinos a couple of weeks ago. So you're looking at Vegas, you're looking at Arizona, which has seen a spike in recent days. I don't know, buddy. I don't know. This is I gotta admit,
this is I don't want to say this is worst case scenario, but it's pretty bad.
It's probably the most pessimistic I've felt about the resumption of sports. Maybe since we've been doing this show. I always thought that we would move ahead, get things reopened, even on a limited basis without crowds. I thought there would be something happening, but I have a real wave of pessimism that comes over me right now. As far as
the issue that you have to ask yourself is about the leagues that have not started their season yet. Because you can make the argument that the NBA and the NHL, they might just look at the situation and say, we just need about 3 to 4 weeks. That's it.
Right.
We just only need a month to piece this together. Baseball, which we're still in the opinion is not going to happen. I mean, we've been saying that for a couple weeks. Baseball needs, 3 months? You got 60-something games, not to mention the playoffs.
October, September, about 3 months. About 4 months, maybe.
Yeah, 3.5 months, give or take. And then you have the college seasons. College football, you need – it's usually from September to January, so you usually need at least 3 to 4 months there. Yep. And then college basketball usually starts around, I want to say, early November, give or take. And that usually carries on through March. So that's also another 4 months right there. So the question is, are you more likely to have a finished season with a 1 month or 2 months, give or take, or just starting everything from scratch, game one for 4 months? The answer is I don't feel optimistic about baseball at all for separate reasons. I think baseball's done. I think this was the nail in the coffin. I think college football, I don't think college football is going to happen either, if I'm being honest. There's too many student-athlete cases that are going around, and a lot of it's just based independently on the individual schools and if they want to throw their students and student-athletes on campus with this thing going around. And in reality, I think most colleges are going to stick to the online class system with people at home until this thing just slows down. So I'm a little bit skeptical on that. College basketball starts a little bit later, so maybe you can work around college basketball. NFL is a huge question mark because you really have to schedule a lot of time from September all the way to February. So for leagues that didn't start yet, I'm very pessimistic about. For the NHL and for the NBA, I still have some optimism because I believe all they need is one good month, and they could just wrap the season, wipe their hands clean, and move on to next year.
You think anybody's better than a 50-50 shot?
Oh, that's really tough. Because the NHL, I can't say I've really heard much besides them just announcing random teams. Congratulations, you're going to Vegas. You're going to – like, they haven't really said anything.
Right.
So I don't really know much about NHL. I do think the NBA is going to happen. I think the NBA is going to happen. It really depends on how thoroughly the NBA decides to maintain this bubble strategy. And I talked about how you're going to have employees go in and out and how there's some issues there. If the NBA is willing to pretty much lock everybody down, literally like the Simpsons movie, and just keep people on the place and they're not able to leave for about a month, you'll finish the season. That's my thought. So for me, I think the NBA is I think it's closer to 55-45 or 60-40 because it seems like they really thought this through in terms of the bubble idea. The execution might have been lacking a little bit, but I feel like you can refine a couple things here or there. Are all the players going to show up? I don't know. But I do think that as of right now, I think the NBA has the best chance of coming back and finishing its playoffs. Do you agree with that?
I probably like the NHL a little bit better.
I just haven't heard enough about them in public.
Well, they've got a four phase program. They're in the middle of phase 2 now, looking to move to phase 3 somewhere around the first week in July if everything goes on schedule. Phase 4 is actually the resumption of games, so they're on track. For the last that we've heard.
My question, I actually have one question for you though. Kind of just this is all a theoretical question. Do you think you are more likely to have an issue if you have 4 hub cities or you have 1 hub city? Because I really don't know. Because the NBA just decided, I mentioned the idea of maybe putting half the people in Vegas, half of them in Florida, and then doing it. They're just putting everybody in Florida, where the NHL is having numerous hub cities. Do you think that there's one plan that's superior over the other? Or I
don't know. That's a great question. Because, if you keep them isolated, obviously you can control the bubble better in one spot. However, if you get one outbreak in that spot.
If you get one outbreak in one hub city, I don't know how you're supposed to continue the playoffs when one of the, a fourth of the teams in the thing just can't play. I don't know how that's supposed to work.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of questions. I think, I said at the beginning of all this that we would be lucky to see Major League Baseball in 2021 as the next sport that comes back. I still think there's a shot that that's the case. I think there's started to be some disgruntled voices from the players in the NBA, especially with the positive tests that have come out. So.
But you didn't hear about the magical medical rings that they're requiring all the players to wear, which apparently nobody else has access to that type of technology.
The what?
So the NBA released that they're going to require all their players to wear these medical rings, which apparently have an 80% success rate of predicting COVID, like 3 days earlier than others. So they're going to be walking around with some type of fancy-looking medical, like Apple Watch-looking thing. And they're going to just bring it around. It's supposed to prematurely indicate COVID symptoms, etc. I'm surprised nobody else on the planet has heard of this before the NBA brought it up, but maybe it'll work. I don't know. There's some conspiracy theories, though, from like Kyle Kuzma and some of the other athletes claiming that it's really a tracking device and that the NBA is just using it so they can track their players to stay into the bubble. But I don't know. Apparently there's some type of medical technology that NBA players, shockingly, have access to that the average citizen does not. So, we'll see how that works out. But I feel the most confident about basketball. Am I confident about it? No. But I think that it's over 50% because at the end of the day, I think if LeBron and some of these other superstars decide we're going to play, I think they're going to play.
Okay. Good enough. And I'm sure we'll be talking about this a lot more as we go forward. Obviously, it's going to be the big story coming up here in the next 30 to 45 days as things try to get rocking and rolling. So we'll definitely keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on NASCAR, the Stewart Haas Garage, and everything like that. But it's just kind of wanted to talk because we've had some cases in other sports. It's the first time it's happened in NASCAR. I think it's going to be full speed ahead for NASCAR, at least for now. And we'll see what happens.
It seems like NASCAR, I know it's a lot easier because when you're actually in a race, you're protected by, thousands of pounds of metal. So, you don't really have to worry about interacting with many people. I feel like NASCAR has actually done a pretty good job when it's come to, I don't know about the fans now because you've had the outbreak in Florida for Talladega, so I don't really know about all that. But in reality, for the drivers and for everybody else, I feel like NASCAR has actually done a pretty good job with their safety
so far, so
protocols.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna find out as they allow 5,000 people back.
That's what I was saying. It's not exactly great timing to welcome fans back into Talladega, but we'll see how that works out.
Not the best. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, Scotty, thanks very much as always for taking over the co-pilot seat. And
are you on Tis the Law today?
What's that?
Are you on Tis the Law today?
I haven't made a bet yet.
Okay. I feel like I'm going to be doing the same. I'm still curious what line I'm trying to get, but my Belmont pick is going to be Tis the Law. Going really out on a flyer on that one. That's going to be my thought on that. You got a thought on the Belmont?
I might play that trifecta that we were talking about yesterday with Tis the Law and
you got Tap It to Win.
And Tap It to Win, yeah.
You said try. I'm trying to think of
the speed horse there. Trifecta.
Glass Ceiling was a different race?
No, we go yeah, Glass Ceiling was
because I remember you were a big fan of Glass Ceiling, and
I like Tap It to Win there as the
second place finisher.
I know he was talking about that Tis the Law is the class of the field. I might have to go 8-1, 1-8 all, and just bet them both ways. With the try bet, you can bet dollar trifecta would be $16.
That's fair. In reality, I think Tis the Law is going to close at around 3 to 5. So for me, minus 130, minus 135. It might look like an awful price, which it is for a horse race. You might be saving roughly 20 cents, give or take, based on where the closing line might be.
I haven't.
I'm talking about when the race officially starts.
No, I know. I was just wondering if you've seen any updates on the.
I have not. But if I had to guess, I'm expecting money to just flow in on Tis the Law pretty much from start to finish.
Now, Tis the Law is still holding at 6 to 5. So, yeah, we'll.
But all of the fixed lines have minus 130s, minus 140. So they expect it to close roughly 3 to 5. So you're basically saving potentially 20 cents there. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna take Tis the Law today as my Belmont pick.
Yeah, Glass Ceiling is the 5 horse in the what is that? The Longines.
I knew you were a fan of that horse. I wasn't sure if that was the Belmont, if that was the same race or not.
Yeah, the eighth race there at Belmont.
So you're going with a try on Tis the Law, Tap It to Win, then all as the third race. You're going for a try there.
Yep, I'm going to go. I'm going to go 8-1, 1-8 all. Is that how you say that, right? Where you got both of them with everybody else in the field. So as long as those two finish 1-2. It seems to me that you're basically just picking an exacta with some extra value.
Correct. You're hoping for a 40 to 1 to come in third. That's basically what you're doing.
Right. You're hoping that that Modernist or Max Player gets up there. I think Jungle Runner would be too much to hope for.
I think if it was a longer race, I wouldn't have been as on to Tis the Law, but the shortened distance I think is definitely going to help out Tis the Law.
Agreed. And that's the reason I like Tap It to Win. That's a speed horse that's on the rail.
I like Tap It to Win to come in second, so that's fair.
Great spot. So yeah, let's have some fun. Of course, we got UFC tonight, so that'll be interesting to see. And I was thinking we had something else to bet on today. Maybe I was just thinking of the Xfinity race.
I know there's cornhole on ESPN. No, I mean golf for the most part finished its day already. Or you have the final group that's basically just teeing off. I got one dog in the race. My boy Maverick McNeely. 200 to 1. He's at 10 under. So he's actually he's in the hunt. Is he going to win? Hell no. But he's in the hunt, and that's really all you can ask for.
And what did you have him at?
200 to 1. I got Maverick McNeely, and right now he's 3 shots back of Neiman, who shot roughly 8 under today, which is, that's just ridiculous. But going through, can't really complain. As far as I know, I thought he was at 10 under. I ended up bogeying 1 hole. Okay, so he's at 9 under. Pretty good. If only didn't go +1 day 1, but just that's all you can ask for. You got a 200 to 1 shot, and he's 4 shots back right now. So hopefully he shoots 8 under tomorrow, and I'll be cashing some ridiculous ticket, which I never thought I'd actually cash. Am I going to cash it? No, but that's the beauty of golf. You never know.
Well, that would be fantastic. And I see, Maverick McNeely currently 9 under, tied for 29th place. Nothing wrong with that at all. I saw my boy, the guy that won it last year, did make the cut. So I don't think he's done any. CT Pan, and of course he's now at 5 under. He's kind of fallen off the wagon here today, shooting +1. But
we got a little bit of a sweat with Kuchar coming through, because he's 7 under through 12, tied for 52nd, and we need him to finish towards the top part of the leaderboard. But he's in the hunt, so not bad. Patrick Reed, top 30, missed the cut. Well, good job, everybody. We all were fans of that one. And so far it's been golf, so I'm not surprised that the results have been pretty unpredictable up to this point.
All right, very good. All right, my friend. Well, we got a full day, and as does everybody else out there. So, Scott, enjoy your day. Everybody else, enjoy your day as well. A lot of action happening here. Appreciate everybody stopping by. As always, we talk a little NASCAR, and we'll be back Monday to recap the weekend, find out how everybody did. And until then, let us know that you're out there. Drop us some comments in there. Tell us what you're playing today, and of course, let us know how you did You out there making some money during the COVID? That's there's still prices, there's still money to be made. So let us know if you're having any success. All right. And as always, we'll be back to do it. We'll be back to do it next week as well, with a number of guests that's talking the sports. All right. So for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at winnersandwiners.com, we appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us. And until Monday, you guys have a great weekend. Good luck today. Good luck tomorrow. Hope you cash all your tickets, and we will see you then. All right. You guys take care. Bye-bye.